Welcome back to Dialogue Tree. This is episode 49. I am Matthew Peterson, and as always, I am joined by Daniel, Apex Legends Padilla.
Hola, amigo. ¿Cómo estás?
I specifically mention it just because I want to shout out the fact that Daniel did not play Apex Legends with us like he promised.
Dude, it's not even a me issue. I feel like this is a EA issue, dog.
I mean, it could be an EA issue. All I know is I said, Daniel, make sure you have the game. And you said, I will fucking kill you for me saying that. And I was like, I didn't know you had it already, you asshole. And then I say later, I have an Apex update. And Daniel says, yes. And I'm like, okay, yes. Then like 3 hours later, Daniel realizes what I meant. And it was a game update and not an update about like what I'm doing with my life. And was like, oh, I'll go update the game. Then finally, it's time to play the game. Cam and I are in the game. I message Daniel, and then Daniel says, "This is ass. I didn't download the update."
Yeah, that was quite the odyssey. Okay, so no, the issue was that I started to download the stupid update, but then I don't know. Like when I went to check, this is like as soon as you told me, right? Like as soon as you told me there was an update, I went to check, and I started download it. But by the time we were supposed to play, I went to check on it, and the download had stopped because apparently there wasn't enough space in my PlayStation to finish downloading it. But I just don't understand why it wouldn't tell me before I started downloading it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is kind of dumb.
Yeah, and the issue is that it was a 26 fucking gigabyte update. Which, first of all, I don't understand why it has to be that large.
Well, did you ever update the game ever? This might be the problem. Like,
well, no,
did you ever update the game since you got
it?
I
only downloaded it on Sunday, dog.
Oh, then I have no idea why the update is so large.
Right? Like, I don't fucking understand. Exactly. Yeah. And now, so the issue was that even if I like deleted some bullshit to like actually be able to download the update, it's a 26 gigabyte download. It would have taken like 3 days for it to finish downloading. Maybe not that long, but goddamn.
Origin does sometimes when there's a new update. It will finish the update really fast, and then you'll load into Apex.
Or something?
Yeah, even Apex will work, but like like a lot of the textures become like this weird black mirror surface, and everything looks awful. I don't really know how to describe it, but then you like have to verify game integrity, and then there's like 12 more fucking gigabytes you got to download.
God damn it!
Origin just sucks, and it's probably not really your fault. I just wanted to call you out.
No, I mean it is a funny story, and how you like presented it to our listeners at home. I think it was very, very interesting.
Well, yeah, I was just trying to help you out, and you kept threatening me.
Yeah, sorry, dog. I realize I shouldn't do that anymore. Well, I have another parenthesis before we actually get the episode started.
Yeah, sure.
So I joined the room, right? Like 5 minutes before 6, whatever. And fucking Spencer Biddle, for whatever reason, decided to join too. And he joined. So I was eating. You know what a chilena is, dog? Or a
no, not really. I don't think so.
Have you heard alfajor? You don't know what that is?
No, I don't think. If I have, I forgot.
All right, so it's like a cookie sandwich, right? It's like shortbread cookie, and in the middle it has dulce de leche, and it's usually here's the issue. It's usually topped off with powdered sugar. So the one that I was consuming as I joined the room had a lot of powdered sugar at the top, So the issue was that Spencer, as soon as he joined the Discord room, he like burped really, really intensely, like it was long and like aggressive, yeah. And so like I couldn't help but like chuckle while I had this cookie like right in front of me. So like as I chuckled, of course, I blew all the fucking powdered sugar off. And it's all on me. It's all on me and on the floor now. So Spencer Biddle, man, if you're out there listening to this shit, go fuck yourself, man.
Yeah, hope his dinner was good though.
Yeah, that's all I had to say about it.
No, that's understandable.
Matthew Peterson.
Daniel Padilla.
How are you, dude?
Dude, I'm doing great. I feel like everyone, at least this is probably a warped perspective due to the way social media, I don't know, works.
Yeah.
But it seems like everyone else is unhappy. And it's weird because I know, like, obviously there is a pandemic, but I don't feel unhappy. But everyone else seems to be like, there's no way you could be happy right now. You know what I mean?
Right. So just out of curiosity, because my understanding about you is that you don't look at a lot of the social media that traditionally people look at. So what kind of social media are you basing this on?
But it's mostly memes that people send to me from other people because I don't like use Twitter or whatever.
Right. Exactly. I don't.
Um, I don't see like I guess a lot of feed memes, but also people
Right.
talk about doom scrolling. I've heard is a thing, which
I, I've
I
I've
think
heard
is
that.
that
I've heard about that term a lot recently. Yeah.
I think is just that you like go through your feed and everything is bad, but you keep doing it. I think is the idea.
I don't really. Well, maybe I've thought about it as just scrolling like indefinitely for no purpose really,
Okay.
other than just like not having anything else to do and you're just scrolling because
Yeah, maybe it
whatever.
was just coincidental that this person was saying that everything on their feed was depressing.
I mean, it could be. I guess that makes
Yeah.
sense why you would call it doom scrolling.
I don't know.
I
That just seems to be like the general vibe of social media I've been getting uh, is that everyone's depressed.
yeah, yeah. No, that is fair. Yeah. Well, it's good that you don't really feel that way. Maybe social media does have an impact on that, right? Like maybe for example, me, not to like, whatever, but like I know that I'm not necessarily having like a great time, and I am on social media a lot, and I do scroll on
Right.
social media a lot precisely because I don't have a whole lot going on. But then I think about you, and you say like that your social media seems to be all about people being miserable or whatever, or maybe just not doing well, and you feel like you don't feel that way. So I feel like I'm just wondering here if using social media in the way that I do has like an influence on
I mean,
how
I think it
not great I'm
must in
feeling.
some way, right?
Right.
Because if you read things of people saying the world is bad all the time, you'll like inevitably start to at least somewhat embody that mindset, even
Right.
subconsciously.
Right.
Even before like there was a pandemic, everything social media tends to be like at least more edgy, at least more like jokes about bad things happening than just like good things
Yeah.
happening to them. You know what I mean?
Right.
At least
Right.
like popular memes. Like people will be like, "Oh, my dog had puppies" on like their Facebook, but like popular memes will be like, I don't know, it's just about like shitty stuff happening in the world and like 9/11 and whatever.
Like, yeah, I have depression and shit like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Right. It is a weird trend in memes, right? Like, I remember maybe it's not a trend anymore. I don't know, but like I remember back in like 2016 when I started to get into memes, like some of the bigger pages that I used to follow then were precisely like meme pages about like depression and shit, like
right. I
nihilist,
say nihilist.
nihilist memes. And there was another meme page about like I have crippling depression, shit like that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
that seems to have like carried over. Like I feel like that's kind of like the trend still, for the most part, right? Of course, other trends have arisen since, but I do seem to run into a lot of like depression very often.
yeah. And here's the thing is that I don't know if I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are depressed right now more than the average would be.
Right,
Like generationally, if before even the pandemic and everything, people were more depressed
right.
and were just like more comfortable talking about it online now that they can like share it in like a confrontational space with like strangers, or if it's like the same amount of depression, but like the popularity of the memes makes it seem more widespread, and I don't know how to tell.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. I couldn't tell you either. Yeah, but people do seem to talk about it a lot more, which is well, I guess in one sense it's good that people are talking about it more, but in the other, like on the other hand, like are we talking about it in like the healthiest way? You know what I mean? Like if we're just
Right?
making
Yeah.
dumb memes about it and shit, like is that really healthy? Well, how come, dude? Well, maybe that's not the right, but like. What have you been doing? Like, is there anything in particular that you feel like keeps you like going, keeps you like motivated? I don't know.
Uh, I don't know. I try to exercise. I'm not like I try to bike every day. Not it
Right,
doesn't always happen. Sometimes it's just physically impossible because it's raining or whatever.
right.
But I think you know, you don't have to be like even fit, but like doing exercise every day will make you more focused and just like attentive, and
Yeah,
you'll feel less bad and like not just sit around all day.
yeah, like your body will get used. I don't know, like your body appreciates movement, right? Like if you're just like sitting, your body just gets all shitty because you're not moving.
Yeah, and I just try to study a lot, consume a lot of Japanese, and try to understand it.
Right,
And I use my phone for a lot of that, so I try not to use my phone when I'm not doing that. I try to like put it in a different room when I'm not, reading something or watching a video or whatever, because I already do so much of that. It,
right,
it feels like if I use my phone for entertainment, it gets really like I don't know, like gives me a headache, honestly. Because I do use the computer sometimes when I'm not using
right,
my phone too,
right.
which is looking at the screen a lot. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's a tendency for people to be more harsh on themselves than their friends.
Right.
And I just kind of realized this is a pretty arbitrary thing because everyone is just a person. So you should just treat yourself the same as you would treat anyone else.
Right. 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 Right.
If my, and then I don't feel guilty about like being happy when other people aren't, because if someone said to me, my friend was like, "Oh, I'm happy," even though other people weren't, I'd just be like, "Good for you." So I am just glad for myself, and I give myself the permission to be happy.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I think that's a really positive way to like be taking these things. You know what I mean? I think it's super
Yeah,
fair. Yeah. There's a reason why like other people's feelings should like keep you from, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like from
It
feeling
is
well.
important
You know.
to be responsible during the pandemic and
Of
like
course. Of
consider
course.
other people's health. If you're lucky enough to have things you enjoy, you should just allow yourself to enjoy them.
Right. 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 And right. And like it's important to be like empathetic too. Like if people around you like aren't doing as well as you feel like you are, like you also have to like be empathetic towards them. But like you know what I mean? Just because people around you don't seem to be doing as well as you are doesn't mean that you should automatically not feel well either. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Everyone's got
Yeah.
their own life.
Right, 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 right. No, I believe that, man. That's good. I mean, that's certainly good to hear. I do think that the whole phone thing that you bring up is relevant in my experience. You know, because it just
Mhm.
happens that like my job, well, my job's always been remote, right? And that's kind of like the one, kind of like the part that I've, you know, that I've taken the most issue with, because I'm someone who like works a lot better when they're like around people. You know what I mean? Where I can like physically see my colleagues and like physically ask
Yeah,
them questions. You know what I mean? Like I just feel a lot more present than otherwise. You know, which is I guess is natural. You know what I mean?
yeah. Should
Um,
be.
yeah, right, exactly. And that's not to say that I'm not adaptable. You know, like I've learned to work like this, but learning to work like this in these conditions is not doesn't make it any easier. It doesn't mean that I enjoy it anymore. You know what I mean? Like it still
Mhm.
sucks, and I still wish it was otherwise. But the reason why I bring this up because it's precisely one of the reasons, one of the things that I've made has made me the most anxious over the last few weeks. Right, is the fact that like because my work is remote, you know, I work from home. Even before pandemic, like I worked a lot from home, you know, and like there could be times where like, you know, whatever, like I'm in my room on my computer doing work stuff and whatnot, but then I'll leave to like go get water downstairs and I'll get caught up talking to like my dad or my mom for like 5 minutes about some random thing. I don't know. And then I'll come back to my room after like fucking, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 minutes. And there will be fucking 40 unread messages on my phone, man, from like
Right.
clients and colleagues and bosses asking me to do shit. You know what I mean? And that shit just puts me on fucking edge, man. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I really, really don't like that, you know, because it's just not it's not the same thing as when you're all like in an office and they can like come to you and be like, hey dude, like I really need your help doing this and whatever, or like we're
And
gonna
then
have a
see that
meeting
you're
about
not there.
they would see that I'm not there, or you can like I don't know, like you have that like process of like actually like interacting with someone. Whereas I leave my phone and then I come back and I have to like scroll through 40
Mm,
messages and there's like typos and then there's like fucking voice notes and like sometimes the voice notes the audio is weird and then like people won't really like type out their full, you know, like thoughts into like a little message because you're like typing while they're doing other shit at home as
yeah.
well. You know what I mean? So it just becomes a really awkward way to communicate, man. And I'm sure this works for people. You know what I mean? And again, as I tell you, it's not that I'm not adaptable. Again, I've learned to like work like this and deal with it. But I know that like, you know, like it's also good to like recognize what your strengths are and what works for you and what doesn't. And I really feel like this is not, you know, like the ideal work environment for me. You know, like I work a
Yeah.
lot better when I'm like with the people that I'm working with and I can just like walk over to them and like ask them whatever or just like have a chat with them or like you know what I mean, like that works a lot better for me. And I in turn am a lot more I'm a much more effective employee if I'm like around people as opposed to just like you know what I mean, like having a rush of 40 messages coming into my phone from a variety of different people,
Yeah.
messages getting mixed up and shit like that. You know what I mean? The thing is that this happens often, you know what I mean? It just happens really often to the point that like literally the same reason, right? Like I've like my phone makes me fucking anxious and that shouldn't be like that. You know what I mean? It shouldn't that shouldn't be I don't know. I feel like that's not something that should, you know, phones are a wonderful tool that like helps us stay together with people and whatever, especially during these times, you know what I mean? Like it shouldn't be a thing that makes me anxious. It's like the same reason why I feel like driving. You know, like a lot of people are anxious about driving, and it's fair. But like, it shouldn't be something that makes you anxious, right? Like cars are a wonderful thing that allow you to like get places a lot quicker.
Mm,
And sure, there's a lot of assholes out there who are really irresponsible, and that's a problem. But it shouldn't be like that. You know what I mean? There shouldn't be assholes out there making you anxious for driving. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the same thing. It shouldn't be like that. Like, I shouldn't be anxious every time my phone buzzes or rings or
yeah,
whatever. You know what I mean? I hate it.
you have to make sure you get it, even if it's not
Yeah.
important, because it could be.
Right.
Because people,
Right.
I'm
Because
sure people just like will just like say stuff that's not important, and there's no like priority. So you just you have to check everything, even if it's
I
mostly
right.
garbage.
Exactly. Like, I still have to check it, and I'm still on edge every time I check it because I don't know if it's gonna be like something like, "Yo, like I need you to work on this shit right now." You know what I mean? Oh, not only that, but like even if you're not responsive, even if it's just garbage, like if you're not responsive, then that's something that like it's happened to me before that some colleagues used to like throw me under the bus. You know, right? Like, yeah, like Daniel just doesn't respond to his messages. Like, dude, you were just talking about a bunch of bullshit that wasn't really important. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I don't know. Like, I could say yes or I could say received, and I guess that's fair. But like, but that's the thing, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to know how to respond to all these messages when you get like a billion of them in like a few minutes. You know what I mean? You have to like catch up to all of them. Like, I don't, and not, and again, exactly. You have to like decode them, right? Like, you have to like decode what is relevant to you at the
Mhm.
moment. Because there's a lot of group chats is the thing, and sometimes like in the group chats, they're talking about things that are not necessarily relevant to me at that point. It's you know, exactly. Like, I could go on forever, you know, but like that is one of the
Yeah.
things that like unfortunately, you know, unfortunately my phone is for my work is something that I had to like keep on me all the time, and
Right.
it just, you know, it is not very good for me. Unfortunately, it hasn't been.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah, well, good to hear that you're doing all right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sucks about your work.
I mean, that's all right. We're dealing with it. You know what I mean? We're getting through it.
Yeah.
What's going on, dog? Do you have anything in particular you wanted to bring to the table today?
I was gonna go to Boston. It didn't end up happening this week, so I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
It's fine.
How come?
So I was gonna go with my mom, but my grandparents decided that they didn't want anyone to visit, just because of
Mm,
there's more people getting the cases right now. So they were like, "Yeah, let's just not."
right.
Um,
Right.
and they want to move, but they can't move right now. I mean, they're in a fine place. They just want to live in an
Right.
assisted living. They want to live in a retirement home because they live
Right. Right.
alone. They're getting pretty old, but you're not allowed to enter like closed communities right now. You know what I mean?
Of course, especially with people with like older folks, you know,
Yeah, so, like, who knows if it'll be, like, a year, a year and
before
a
they
half
can
before they,
move.
like, finally can move out of their house,
Right.
which is unfortunate for them.
Yeah, man. Shit.
Um, I played, uh I played, Tales from the Borderlands, and I thought it was awesome. I
No
really liked
shit.
that game. Yeah.
That's Telltale Games, yeah.
Yeah, it's back from, like, before Telltale totally crashed.
Of course. Of course. Of course.
But yeah, it's in the Borderlands universe, but you don't, like, need to play Borderlands 1 or whatever to get it.
Right.
Like, you'll still definitely enjoy it. It's just a little more enjoyable if you, like, have played a Borderlands game beforehand, I would say. It's like the classic Telltale game where you just, like, wander around and pick dialogue and then make a less than it's cracked up to be decision, like, you pick
Right.
something, but it doesn't really matter.
Right.
But I
Right.
feel like it really works for Borderlands because it's just kind of like a silly, fun kinda thing. Like, there's a lot of murder, but it's, like, a very casual, actiony kind of, adventure. So it's
Right.
not really like all emo, like Walking Dead is great and all, but it's not like all like emotional decisions really.
Right.
It's
Right. Right. Right.
there are some like character, bonds and stuff, but it's more about just like banter and having a good time. And I think it's a really fun Telltale game.
Right. Because the Borderlands universe has like its own particular sense of humor, right?
Yeah.
And even if people get like fucking murdered and shit like that, it's like satirical, right? It's like mostly played for laughs and
Yeah.
shit like that, as opposed to like The Walking Dead, which is like characters who have grown with you and whatever, and then they just like fucking die, and it's like sad. Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe that. Have you played a lot of Telltale games, dude?
I played that and I played Walking Dead, and both were really
Gotcha.
good. Yeah, but I've
Right.
heard the other ones are not as good.
There's a shitload. There's like Batman,
There's a
fucking
lot, yeah.
yeah,
But at
yeah.
the end, I think Walking Dead 3 didn't get finished or something, like, the bottom really fell out of the company, and they weren't paying the employees and stuff.
Oh shit, dude. Yeah, it's awful.
actually a weird recommendation from me because I don't know if you can get this game legally. It got pulled from a lot of
Oh,
stores. Um,
after Telltale Games like went under,
yeah, so they
right?
lost the license to, or the license expired to distribute this. So
Oh
I just happen to
shit,
still
dude.
have it.
Right,
You might not be able to buy it. You might actually have to pirate if you want to play it. I don't even know.
right,
So
right. No,
it's,
that makes
I mean, no
sense.
one, you're not stealing anymore if it's not for sale, but it's just weird. I don't know what to say about that situation.
No, no, it is weird. Do you know what happened with Telltale Games? Why it went under? Like, was there like a any trend in
Just
particular?
well, definitely, I think there was like declining interest because the games are super formulaic, I guess you could say. Like,
Right.
it's not just the same engine. It's like you do the same shit all the time,
For
I guess you
everyone.
could
It's
say.
just like the universes are different, like the stories, of course, are different, but
Yeah,
mechanically, the games are still
yeah. There's
yeah,
not much gameplay, and I think the
right, right.
writing just started to get worse, and so
And there were like a lot of them, right? Like,
yeah,
didn't they
there were a
also start
lot.
to be they became like seasonal and shit like that? I think.
Yeah, there's Guardians of the Galaxy, there's Batman, there's, 2 Batmans maybe? There's a lot of Telltale.
Right, right. I think I've read that might have like contributed, right? The fact that they started to make them like seasonal, right? So you got like Batman
Yeah.
season one, and then you had to like wait and pay for like season two and whatever, and like people
Yeah,
just kind of lost.
that's the Telltale model.
Right.
I think that yeah, I think it was basically Walking Dead 1 was just really good, and they
Right,
kinda converted that and rode that for a long time, but eventually
right.
the hype just kinda died out.
Died out. Yeah, that's fair. Did
Yeah.
you ever play like a lot of adventure games in that sort of like? Of course, Telltale Games has like its own
I don't know
particular
what you
touch.
mean. Yeah, it's
Uh,
kind of like a genre. Like, the only thing I can think of is, like, Life is Strange is the only other.
I don't know. Those aren't those referred to like as old, like Sierra games, like the old Sierra games.
Oh,
Aren't those
like
referred to
adventure
as
games,
like?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Do
do
you?
like the old school. Telltale actually made some Sam& Max stuff, and I am a fan of Sam& Max,
Oh
back in the
yeah.
day,
Oh
like,
cool.
back in the
Right.
ancient days, like, before TF2 came out. They
Right.
were
Right. Right.
working with Valve.
Like late '90s, early 2000s type shit.
Yeah, I really
Right.
like, The Longest Journey, which is, an insane game series, an insane adventure game series. The first game I barely got to run on my computer. It is such a
No
bitch
shit.
to get it to run, but it's awesome. It's
How
insane.
come? Because it's like a
It's
demanding
so
for the
old.
computer.
I
Or?
have no,
Oh,
yeah, I don't know. It's just fucking ancient. It barely
gotcha.
works.
Yeah. Like compatibility because it's so old. I get it.
Yeah. But it's
Right.
just a weird franchise because they made the original is like a shitty polygonal point and click. I mean, I'm sure it looked good at the time or
Right.
whatever. The game's awesome, but it
Right.
looks terrible. And
Right.
then
Right.
there was a sequel on like Xbox, like
What is this called again?
9 years. It's called The Longest Journey.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I've seen this.
Yeah. Then there was a random sequel on Xbox with like I played them all. The sequel I played on Steam, I don't know if it was ported or if it came out on PC as well.
Yeah.
And then like 10 years later, they kickstart the third game, which is now a PC exclusive, and it actually looks decent. So it was like
Oh.
it really was the longest journey. It was like a 30-year development cycle
God damn,
to get to
that's
the end.
intense.
So it's really jarring because like it's like slices of generational graphics between each game. You like as you
Right.
progress through the games, it like completely changes the style and art. It's weird. It's quite the
Yeah,
experience.
and just how like it presents like its universe, right? Because like I'm sure when it's I don't know, like you have to it required a little bit of your own like imaginative input, I'm sure, right? As
Yeah,
opposed to like now where they can like fully realize whatever they wanted to show you. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. The first game, like they used to have like a static background, and then the character would get bigger while running more like towards you to like simulate.
right.
And
Yeah,
there's a
of
lot of
course.
areas like that, and then you go back to them in the third game, and it's like full 3D like Unreal Engine, and you're like, "Oh my god, this is what that was supposed to even like
Right,
be." I thought that
right,
was just like a shape. I didn't even like understand what that was like a merchant or whatever when you see it
right.
in 3D.
I get it. Yeah. That right. That is interesting. That is interesting.
Yeah.
Isn't also like AI kind of like an adventure type game? Uh, the
Uh,
Somnium Files, isn't it?
yeah, Somnium Files is now we're getting into like the genre of things that really aren't games, like visual novels.
Oh,
Like
it's more
Phoenix.
like all right, because it is different. You're right. It's like a
Yeah,
visual novel is kind of different. Yeah, you're right. I get
it's like Phoenix Wright stuff where you're like still
that.
figuring
Right.
puzzles out, but it's mostly just reading text.
Reading dialogue. Yeah, I get
Yeah.
it. How long does a game like AI go for? You know, like how many hours did you think you put into that? Do you have like an
Uh,
idea?
maybe 20. I don't know. It wasn't that long.
Right. Gotcha, gotcha. I'm just interested because that's not really like a type of game that I played a lot. I played Life is Strange, the first one, and that was interesting. But like I was, like I
Yeah.
played that with someone. Like I don't know that I would like really go out of my way to like play a game like that. You know what I mean? Like I'll play with someone, of course, sure, but like that's not really. It didn't like in my own free time. I don't think that's like the type of game that I'm really like that I would go out of my way to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a digital book, really.
Right.
It's
Right.
just a
Right.
story being told. I
Yeah.
don't know. I just like good voice acting with good writing. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. No, that's super fair, and I'm sure the stories are good. Like I've heard crazy things about Phoenix Red. I've heard those are really funny and really good.
Yeah, I actually dislike the investigation parts, but I loved like the courtroom parts. That's why I never finish it,
Right.
is because for some reason Phoenix Wright also has to investigate the murder scenes, even though he's like the defense attorney. Like,
He's a lawyer. He's not the
yeah,
investigator. He's the lawyer. Yeah.
the cops are so incompetent. You have to like go do it.
Oh, right.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I believe that.
people love those. No one loves those, I think.
Yeah. No, cool. I played and finished both Rayman Legends and Crash 2 finally. Granted,
Oh,
these have been
nice.
games that I've been working on for a while. But like I actually finished both earlier this week, which I feel like is a good accomplishment. There's still a lot of content in both games that well, maybe not so much Crash. Like Crash has a few secrets here and there, but
Mhm.
for Rayman Legends, there is still a lot of content. Um, and the thing is that it's not a hard game. It's just there's a lot of it. You know what I mean? Like, so I beat the game with like 300 loomies or whatever those little collectibles are called. I forget what teensies are called. So I got like 300 of them out of a total of like 800. There's like a shitload of them, and like the thing is that
Yeah,
like a lot of to rescue a lot of those, you have to go back to like it's called Back to Origins, and it's just kind of like repurposed Rayman Origins levels. And the thing is that I already own Rayman Origins, you know what I mean? So like I don't, and I still have to play through that. I bought it after I bought Rayman Legends, so like
right.
I don't want to go ahead and play those levels so that I don't get like tired of them by the time that I actually, I don't
Right.
know, I want to experience them for the first time in their actual game. You know what I mean? I do think it's cool that like there is a lot of content in it, but like
Mhm.
in terms of like in my case where I'm going to basically play them back to back, like it's just not ideal, I suppose.
There's no point.
Yeah.
I usually don't do like optional content, honestly. I'm like, I beat the
Right.
game. I'm done.
Yeah, and right. I think that's fair. The issue is that like it again, the reason why I'm like compelled to play more of it is because like it's not hard. You know what I mean? Like it's not like a Metroid game where like to like fucking 100% you have to like literally scratch every corner or whatever. Like
Right.
Rayman is a little easier. All you have to do is beat the levels and maybe like learn to do them a little faster and whatever. It's not hard, so that's kind of like it. Like pries me to like try to be a little bit more of a completionist. But like
Mhm.
you're right. I mean, I usually don't really do like a lot of the optional stuff either, right? Like I beat Crash 2 and like I think my percentage was like at 72 or something. Yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty satisfied with
Yeah, whatever. I mean, gonna get
that.
every apple or whatever.
Yeah. Right. Not only that, but like the thing with like platformers, like sure it's fun to like explore sometimes, but like I feel like with platformers it's usually a lot of fun when you just like move freely. You know what I mean? Because like to explore, you have to like take your time and like move around slowly to try to like dig every nook and whatever. But like I feel like platformers get a lot more fun when you just like when you learn the level so well that you're able to just like breeze through them. Like I feel like a lot of the
Yeah.
fun from platformers is like the movement with the character, right? Moving with the character is usually super satisfying. So like all you want to do is just go. And if you have to
Yeah.
like 100%, you usually have to like go a little slower. So I feel like that takes a little bit of at least the enjoyment that I get out of platformers.
No, yeah, I get that.
Which is why I kind of like enjoy action platformers more because there's not a lot of like collectibles. Like you play Mega Man 9, there's like no secrets and shit like that.
Yeah, it's more like you see an item and it's like, can you figure out how to get that
How do you
item?
right. But it doesn't contribute to like completion percentage or whatever. It's just like
No, it's just like health
you have
or
a
whatever.
right, you have an E tank and like it'd be nice to have an E tank before I hit the boss.
Exactly.
Right.
I was thinking I should play the Dark Souls DLC, actually,
Oh yeah.
but I didn't know I like kind of assumed I had it because the game is called Prepare to Die Edition on Steam. I was
Oh
like,
right.
oh, it's the edition. It must
Right.
have the DLC. But the Dark
Right.
Souls, the Dark Souls DLC is like so obscure to figure out like how to even access. I don't know how you'd figure it out without looking it up. It's
Okay.
like insane. You just have to go kill this one enemy. It's just like a guy, and he drops an item, and then you go back to this like corner of one of the maps that's not near this guy, and there's
Right.
a yellow enemy, and if you kill him and then leave, a princess comes out and talks to you, and then after you talk to her, the DLC starts, and it's
Oh,
like,
shit, and you can you
who
do
would
this
do
at any
that?
point?
You can do this at any point if you've got far enough in the game to get to that enemy you have to kill, which is like a quarter of the
Gotcha.
game. Yeah.
Gotcha, yeah.
And it's just like there's no hints, right? Like I don't know if there's any hints in the game, but like there's nothing besides like the item descriptions or whatever in Dark Souls. You're just kind of fucking on your own if you don't look it up.
So how would you even know to access the DLC, right?
I suppose that's in the Dark Souls 1 spirit of not explaining fucking anything to the player.
Right. As opposed to like fucking like The Witcher, right? Like the Switch version of The Witcher has all the DLC and whatever, but like you can access the DLC storylines right from the menu, right? Do you want to
Mhm.
like do the main story or do you want to like go into like Fire and Ice or whatever the fuck? You know what
Right.
I mean? Yeah,
No,
yeah. Interesting.
Dark Souls is not like that. Dark Souls, you wanna know what this item does, you better fucking use it. Also, it's consumable, so I hope you just guessed right.
Right. What an interesting world Dark Souls is.
Yeah.
That's a world that I have not scratched at all. But like I'm kind of interested. It is a big 3D game, you know, like the
Mhm.
kind of game that I wouldn't necessarily like be into anymore. But like I don't know, like it feels very gamey, you know, like everything you just have to like figure out on your
Yeah.
own and stuff. And that kind of shit, like really, and like learning boss patterns and shit like that. But like I love that kind of stuff. So I feel like that's a game that I should like try soon.
Maybe you already heard this, but the, like, lead writer or whatever, is Japanese, and he was learning English, and his kinda inspiration from the game was him reading, like, fantasy novels and playing RPGs with, like, his half understanding of the
Oh,
language,
really?
right?
Right. So I have to like figure it out.
It, like, has dragons and stuff and, like, knights and everything, but, like, everything's a little off. Like, the layouts are kinda weird and not, like it's not high fantasy, but it's kind of, like, close.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. No, that is a, right. That is an interesting way to like, you know, bring about this fucking universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Very interesting. Have you played through all of them?
I have. I haven't beat Bloodborne.
Right. But that's kind of like a spin-off, no?
Yeah, but it's the best one, so I think you gotta call it a
Gotcha.
Dark Souls game.
Right. Well, is it an actual spin-off for Dark Souls, or is this just like a similar type of game?
Canonically, I think it's just its own thing, like in universe or
Oh,
whatever, but it's
right.
made by
Gotcha.
From Software.
Yeah. So you call it a Dark Souls game, like you would call Sekiro a Dark Souls game.
Bloodborne is just Dark Souls with all the item names changed to be like vampire themed or whatever.
Gotcha.
Sekiro is like less of an RPG
Feudal
and
Japan.
more of an action game. Yeah, but I just mean like
Oh,
mechanically. Sekiro is like more accessible and like less item buildy. Like you don't pick a weapon, you just have your sword.
right. Gotcha. No, I get you.
So
Right.
maybe you'd like Sekiro more because it's you don't have to like figure out all this bullshit. You just play the game.
Right. Yeah, right. Maybe. Dark Souls is on Switch, no? But you said the port is ass, kind of.
I think the audio is really the music is really compressed, is what I heard. Everything else is fine, and I think some
Gotcha.
of the controller binds were not changeable or something. I don't know if that was
Oh
fixed ever.
shit.
Um,
Right.
and I also was like, okay, I'm not gonna pay for like a watered down version. Like, obviously it'll be
Of
worse
course.
on the Switch, but if like I don't know, I can already play the fine version at home, and that's usually where I play my Switch. So whatever.
Right. No, I mean that's fair. And you probably already owned it by the time it came out on Switch, no?
Yeah, I had it on
Right.
Xbox and PC.
Dark Souls. Let's see, I'm just curious because I really have been curious about
Mhm.
getting into this fucking universe. You know, they seem very like gamey type games that I'd like to like play.
Yeah.
What is my age? I am was born on the third. Is asking me for my fucking age, man. 28,
So Dark Souls isn't even that violent.
19. Was $40, man. Shit, I'm sure it's much cheaper on like PS4 or something.
Yeah, I mean,
Dark Souls PS4.
uh, obviously that's the remaster, so it's a little more expensive. But
Yeah,
let me look it up on Steam. I remember
right,
I got it on my Xbox for like $11 from GameStop because I super like missed the hype on Dark Souls.
right. Yep, I believe that.
And the guy at the counter kept telling me about like all the, he's talking about the game, but like I had no idea what he was saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, the
Um,
remaster is still $40 on Steam.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay,
but you could also just get Dark
that's
Souls 2 with the DLC for that price on Steam.
yeah, and it doesn't. I feel like it's the kind of game that doesn't really like matter which one you start with, right? Like,
Not really. The story is not even connected, really. So
yeah, right.
yeah,
Yeah, I might look into even like fucking Sekiro. I might look into, you
yeah, Sekiro is really good.
I had another thing that I wanted to bring up, related to because I beat Crash this week, and
Mhm,
so so Dreamcast guy, right? He put up a video the other day talking about because Crash 4 was released this past weekend.
mhm.
Um, and so he put up this video this week talking about how fucking Crash 4 so far has sold only like 20% of what has been sold. Yeah, of what the Crash Insane trilogy sold.
Oh,
And of course,
really?
there's a lot that goes into this, right? Like the Insane trilogy is available on everything, right?
Yeah.
Like PS4, Xbox, PC, Switch, and it's also been out for like a couple of years.
Yeah,
And
so
by
he's
this
looking
point,
at the total sales, not the at the point in time when Insane Trilogy came out.
yeah, that's the thing. I don't quite remember. But that is a good point that I hadn't thought about before. But like, I guess the point of his video was talking about whether or not remakes and remasters can like hinder the sales of new, like actually new games of old franchise. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like he talks about how Tony Hawk Pro Skater, the remakes for 1 and 2 have sold decent, and he's talking about how because like the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games have been kind of in a bit of a downfall, right? Like the last few games that they've released have been kind of garbage,
yeah.
unfinished, even. So like, I guess his argument was like, so these games are selling well. Would Tony Hawk Pro Skater 6 have sold as well as the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1+2, whatever, is selling now? I don't know. Like, this is a question that I wanted to bring up to the pod. I don't know if you've ever thought about this or what your thoughts are on this issue.
People just have, like, the internet in general has, like, a generally accepted list of, like, how good and what games are good. And obviously people, like, there's some controversial ones, people like to fight about stuff, but there's, like, a
Right.
canonized list of good games on the internet. And if you remaster a game that people, like, in the general collective are like, "This is a good game," then people will be like, "Well, that's a good game, I'm gonna buy it." You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there's no risk for the consumer in their mind. They're
Right.
like, "I know this game is good because people on the internet say it's
Right.
good, or I played it as a kid or whatever." Not that remasters are ever always necessary. I think
Right.
the Pokemon ones are pretty garbage, honestly. Well, I shouldn't say
Well,
that because I do like the Gen 2 remake on
I
DS.
was
I
gonna
think
say
that one
I've,
is
I've
pretty
heard
cool.
Hard Gold and whatever are really
But
good.
I
I've
think
heard.
the 3D ones are awful, honestly.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's fair.
I think they're worse than the original one. It's like, what is the point even? Why are we here?
Yeah. Right. Why? Right. Why make me pay for this shit?
I think I sold mine because I didn't want to ever play it again.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. But right. And going back to like Tony Hawk, like I don't know. What do you think? Do you think like a game brand in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 6? Do you think that would have done as well as like the remaster is doing?
I don't think so at all because people are not liking Tony Hawk that much. And
And even like Tony Hawk himself has kind of become a bit of irrelevant, hasn't he? Like I feel like
yeah,
he's kind of
yeah.
like
I don't know if he still skates, like competitively or whatever. I
professionally.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think people are like talking about Tony Hawk like they used to. It used to be like Fred Durst. He's a big name, and now he's not.
Yeah, right. He used to be like everywhere. Right. Yeah, and so right. I don't know. I thought that was interesting. Like precisely that. Right. Like thinking if like a new addition to like an old established series would sell as well as the remasters. And I think the point that you bring is pretty good. Right. Like of course, Spyro remastered. Everyone grew up with Spyro, and everyone, if you right, that's very true. Like if you go on the internet to look up Spyro 1 or whatever, everyone fucking loves that shit. So, like even like little kids, I feel like people growing up with games is a big thing too. Because like if you're a kid and you never grew up with like Tony Hawk, because those games came out in like late '90s, early 2000s, and if you're like 10 years old now, like how relevant is Tony Hawk Pro Skater 6 going to be to you?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Whereas like if you get a remake of like the first if you get a remake of the first Tony Hawk games, like it might be like a good starting point. Like, oh,
yeah. It's
like
like what the start of the sixth game. Like, there's no point in even trying.
Right, right. And I feel like that might be the case with the Crash, right? Like it's such an old fucking franchise.
Higher numbers in general, I mean, they kind of do sound bad, right? But you see the naming of like everything of movies, games, they don't want to name things like six or higher.
Right,
They hate it, you know? They
right.
just like reboot it. Sonic 06 happened with the Rambo movie that was just called Rambo or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
right.
Call of
Right,
Duty
right, right.
keeps
Even
changing
even
to whatever.
the fucking what's the games about Assassin's Creed, right? Like
Right.
they stopped numbering those a while ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's like,
But then
man,
again, but then again, so the reason why I thought that was interesting now that I remember is because then you have games like Mega Man 11. You know what
right.
I mean? Like and Mega Man 11 sold. I don't know the fucking sales numbers, but I understand that I feel like I've heard news, like I read articles that like Capcom was super satisfied with how well Mega Man 11 sold. So like, how do you explain that in turn? You
Well,
know what I
I
mean? Because
think
like
that
Mega Man,
because here's what's happening. This was the Sonic 06 kind of deal where they were like, all right, Mega Man's jumping to 3D and we're calling it Mega Man Adventures. I don't know what was it called, and it was awful, right? No one liked that. So now they're like Mega
oh
Man 11.
right,
This is the real Mega Man games. This is mainline Mega Man. So
right,
they're trying to feel that, I guess.
yeah, and also like Mega Man 11 was a budget title, like because like Crash 4 is going for $60. You know,
Yeah, Mega Man 11 was what,
it's going for
$40?
on release it was 40.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think that also like plays something. Like it plays a role, right? The fact that it's like a cheaper game.
and it probably should be. It's pretty short.
Right, 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 exactly. In the scheme of things, right? Like I can beat that game in like fucking like 5 or 6 hours. And I think I've heard
Yeah,
that Crash 4, of course, there's a lot of like additional optional content, but like you can get through like all the 60 or however many levels there are in like 6 7 hours too. I've heard.
right.
So yeah, I think that's another point. And even because then you have games like Mario, right? Like Mario is also like a franchise that's been going on since like the late '80s, and it's still a mainline seller. But like I think the difference again, you talk about Mega Man and Mega Man Legends, whatever, when they try to go like 3D with it, and like no one really liked it, right? And like all the fucking Mega
Yeah,
Man spin-offs too that are kind of just garbage. You have
yeah.
Mario, and like Mario, I think has been like consistently good, So I feel like that even then it's just like different.
I think Nintendo just got pretty good at burying the bad ones, like that one
Right,
on
right,
Virtual Boy and whatever.
right. That's fair. But even then, I guess also like never mind. I was gonna say like Mario games haven't really been remade, but they're available on every virtual console, whatever, pretty much, right?
Yeah, they just had the
So like,
remaster now.
yeah, right. I think that does play like a because Crash also had a series of pretty garbage games,
Yeah,
or maybe not necessarily bad, just not what Crash was ever supposed to be. Like totally different games, and
yeah,
they redesigned him and whatever. And I guess like a franchise like Mario is always just like sure it does have as like a few duds here and there, but like like even like people talk a lot of shit about Sunshine. I feel like, but even that is like a perfectly competent,
yeah.
like fun game to like play as opposed to like something like Sonic Boom or Sonic 06 where
Right,
it's just like
yeah.
a big broken mess.
Yeah, no,
You know?
there are, like, boring Mario games and even, like, shit Mario's in that is not really a Mario game, like those puzzle games on DS or whatever. But
Right,
they're, like
right.
they're, like, fine. They're not, like, awful, but, like, Sonic '06 is, like it's so bad, and it was, like, the
So right.
flagship Sonic game for next gen or whatever. It's
And it
horrendous.
was right. It just right.
It's like The Room
Yeah.
or something. Like, what
But
happened?
it's right. But that's right. That's super interesting because like everyone talks shit about the new Super Mario Brothers on the Switch and whatever, the fact that it had already previously been released on Wii U, and
Mm,
how all the new Super Mario line of games are just like the same, but then new Super Mario Brothers on Switch has sold like fucking hot pancakes. You know what I
mm,
mean? So it is interesting
yeah,
how like the name attached to a series can also like regardless of what number sequel you're on, it can still perform well on
yeah.
sales, I suppose.
I
Yeah.
guess you just have it depends how innovative you are with the gameplay too. If it's a shooter and it's like Gears of War 5, that doesn't exist. But if they were like Gears of War 5, you'd be like, oh boy, I can't wait to like walk around and get behind cover and shoot at people again for the fifth time. Like,
Right.
but they do like try to mix it up somewhat with Mario.
Yeah, right. And even then, as you say, New Super Mario Bros. Wii U. may not be very revolutionary, but like it's a pretty well designed game regardless, right? It's
Yeah.
just the fact that like people want to see something different. But like if you actually just play the game, I'm sure it'll be fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure it'll be yeah. No, that's fair. Just in comparison to like series franchises like Crash and fucking Tony Hawk, that they had such awful games.
Like,
You
yeah,
know?
weird drought periods.
Right. And also like density, you know what I mean? Because like I feel like there was a point where like they were coming out every year, whereas you don't really get a new Mario game out every year.
Yeah, not a real one.
Right. Not right. You'll get like a Mario Tennis or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not really doesn't really count.
Yeah, but like Odyssey took a while to make.
Right. And then we haven't had like another new like 3D Mario
since.
since, right? Since like 2017.
Yeah.
Right.
Even Breath of the Wild 2 is taking forever.
Right. Fucking Metroid Prime.
I don't want to. I think Metroid got way off track too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
It's
Right.
probably we don't have enough time to talk about Metroid.
No, you're right.
Or
You're right.
Metroid, as the French say.
Metroid.
No, that's with an S.
You're right.
All right, well, we should probably start wrapping it up. I don't speak French either.
Yeah, dude. Didn't you say you did for like a resume?
That's the beauty of it. No one speaks French, so no one can check.
I totally forgot about that story, man. Until I just brought it up.
Anyways, yeah, it's been a good time, Daniel. It's been a pretty interesting one. A lot of stuff to talk about, actually.
Yeah. I love this one. Yeah, I'm excited to.
I didn't even get to talk. I didn't even get to complain about what I was going to complain about.
I guess tune in next week when Matthew complains about what he was going to complain about today.
I specifically asked someone to remind me, and he said he wouldn't, but he also didn't. So fuck him.
Yeah, what an asshole. Oh, and if you're out there listening to this, man, just I don't even know what to tell you anymore. What did you learn today, Matthew?
I learned that Crash 4 is not doing so hot. Actually, I figured it would be doing great.
Yeah. Right.
Honestly, I don't know. I thought it was like a guaranteed thing.
Right. But that's the thing, right? Like I'm not sure. He talked in terms of like percentages, so I'm not sure. Well, I guess it's just 20% of the Insane trilogy. That's still not as great as you would expect, right? Like that's still a significant amount less copies sold, right? I feel like.
Right.
Regardless of how long Insane Trilogy has been out for. I don't know.
I get that. I think people just aren't like, oh boy, Crash, you know.
Right.
What did you learn?
I learned that you're doing well, man.
Oh, that's good,
yeah. Very, very happy to hear that. And I also relearned that you once said for a job application that you spoke French. Yeah, that's fucking good. That's really good. Hell yeah. Have a good time, everyone.
Yeah.
Peace.
See ya.